Are you wondering what to do when your child throws a tantrum? Well, stick with us. We're going to see if we can help you with that.
I think the very best thing you can do, I'll just put this out right at the front, is to be okay with the tantrum.
Boy, that is a hard one you are asking for.
And that's why kids do it sometimes, because it's such a powerful stimulus for parents to react. And oftentimes there's a secondary gain involved too. So they'll throw a tantrum and they get something from it. But at a very developmental level, let's just go there for a minute.
Okay.
Young children especially have a very difficult time regulating their emotion, containing their affect. And this is important to understand because sometimes they can't even help it. It just kind of bursts out.
Right.
It's not that they're being evil or that they're trying to manipulate you. Sometimes it can develop into
I was
that.
going to say, it kind of starts out just as an emotional override.
Right.
And then depending on how you react, it can become a manipulative tool. So we want to go back and talk about how we're going to react. So you were saying, what? Just be okay with it? That's a hard one, especially in the grocery store.
Yes, or in a place that's awkward or uncomfortable. And that's where it's going to happen too.
Right.
Understanding child development helps you to know that when young children are overwhelmed with affect, it's going to bubble out in ways that are sometimes uncomfortable or awkward or something that you wouldn't do as an adult ever. But it's typical for children. So when I say be okay with the tantrum, I'm not saying that you have to enjoy it or that you have to, think that this is the right thing for your child to do. Just understand it's part of typical development and be ready for that to happen as part of a normal course of development. This puts you in a positive, powerful position as a parent because now you're calm. See, we're not going to let it tip us over. Right. Yes, they're out of control, but we're cool.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the times kind of monitor what your feelings are. If you're frustrated, go back to what your thought is that is kind of bringing on that emotion. Because you might realize, you're thinking that his tantrum is saying something about you as a parent. When really all his tantrum is about is that he's 2 and he's out of control. Or, you know what? I have seen I've seen a 3rd and 4th grader throw a tantrum before. And it doesn't mean anything about the parent.
I've seen teenagers throw tantrums.
It's just saying, okay, this person right now is having a tantrum. That's just kind of what's going on.
It's not about you.
Right. And so you can just keep in control of what your thoughts are to the reaction and try to stay as calm as possible and to kind of model that. Now, one of the things is you're being calm to the child, you want to model a calm voice, and you can say to the child, I'll talk to you as soon as you're ready to talk to me in the same way I'm talking to you.
You're providing an example for them, showing them what it is that you're looking for and that you're not going to give them what they're after as long as they're seeking it in an inappropriate way. I think the worst thing you can do when a child throws a tantrum is to lose your own cool.
Right. Yeah.
Right behind that?
What's the next one?
Is to pay them off.
Right.
Or to give them what they're having the tantrum about.
Because a lot of the times that is now going to kind of give them a little tool in their tool bag. Oh, I got what I wanted when I did that. I'm going to try that again. Right. And so what was just an affect reaction has now become a manipulative tool as soon as you've paid them off.
So keep your cool. Don't pay them off. Vicki, you said something also about setting a good example and modeling the appropriate behavior.
Right, the tone of voice and things.
You're not in control of your child's tantrum. Have you figured that out? If you haven't, they're going to prove that to you. You can, however, contain the tantrum.
Now that's a really big deal. It's hard though. Okay, so at home, containing the tantrum might be, you can throw the tantrum, but that's going to be done in your room.
Right.
Right? Well, so what do you do when you're in public?
This is sometimes where parents feel like their hands are tied.
Right.
I can't do anything about it. Well, really? Can't you? Let's say that you're shopping in the grocery store.
Which is where,
It's
every tantrum has happened at least once.
Well, there's so many reasons for a child to kick into it in that setting. So you'll feel like your hands are tied because here I'm in a public place and I haven't checked out yet and I've got all this stuff in my cart. You can actually abandon your cart and remove the child from the store. Take them out to the car. Just say, we're just going to sit here until this tantrum is all over. And then we'll go back in the store. If this is a chronic problem, though, I had one of my clients do this. It was beautiful how this worked. She anticipated that her child was going to have a tantrum because
it had happened so many times.
It happens every time, right? This was a chronic recurring problem. And so she went to the store having prepared beforehand with her best friend. And when the tantrum started, she simply wheeled the cart to the front of the store. She sent a quick text message to her friend who was waiting in the parking lot. Right? Because they're ready for this. And the text simply said, shopping is not fun. Please come now. And so she came into the store and escorted the child out to her car where she did the babysitting while mom finished her shopping in peace.
And remember that the child is out there because they need to throw a tantrum, right? So that's what you're letting them do in the car. You're not going, what can I get you, Jimmy? How can I help you? Or whatever. You're not being them. I mean, obviously you're a benevolent person. And so, you know, who your best friend is benevolent and they're going to be kind.
Oh, that's
and
a good friend.
Yeah, right. But they're kind of like disengaged with the child and letting the child get calmed down.
Yes, remember, you're okay with the tantrum. It's like, oh, we're having a tantrum.
You get to do it in the car.
Alrighty. That happens over there. That's what we mean by containing the tantrum. You're not trying to stop the tantrum. Although, when you do this, it will send a very clear message to the child that it's time for them to get into control. Especially if the adults in their world right now are in control.
Right. And it might take a time or 2 or 3.
Sure.
And just remember, I just can't go back enough to say it's easier to get really frustrated in the store or in public because you start to think, what are other people thinking of me by my child's reaction? So just remember, you got to go back and change your thoughts. Remember, just say, this is his or her reaction, not mine.
Consider how you feel when you see another parent with a child who's throwing a tantrum. Are you judging that parent? Are you feeling empathy for that parent?
Are you glad you're not that parent?
Go for the empathy, okay? Just have empathy and love in your heart for that parent. And understand that other parents are probably going to do that for you too. So Vicki, let's talk about consequences for a minute, because sometimes, especially if it's a recurring problem and we want to teach our children to be in better control, sometimes it's appropriate to impose some consequences for the tantrum. Number 1 consequence, I can't emphasize this enough, take away the payoff for the tantrum.
So what do you mean? Give me some examples.
Go back to the grocery store for a minute. Why is the child throwing a tantrum? Because they wanted that thing and you didn't put it in the cart. Okay, so now they're throwing a tantrum, right? It would be so easy to say, oh, fine, and just put it in the cart. At which point the tantrum stops. And they have just trained you through a process that we call negative reinforcement.
You've basically increased the likelihood of that happening again the next time they want it.
Yes, and they have just trained you to respond to them in a way that they're happy to stop the tantrum if you give them what they want, right?
So you're going to take away the payoff.
You take away the payoff. Now, what happens if you don't put the thing in the cart? The volume goes up.
So you're going to have to weather the storm sometimes in these consequences. Is that what you're saying?
Well, so here's this kid thinking, wait, this always used to work with mom. I must be losing my touch. I better turn up the volume. Now, when they turn up the volume, you're going to feel more likely to put the thing in the cart because you can't stand the noise.
Right.
That's why you have to be okay with the tantrum. If mom's smiling, kids are thinking. Good rule of thumb, right? So you take away that payoff. That's the consequence. Probably it's going to increase the volume of the tantrum if they're doing it to obtain that thing.
Right.
Okay. Now, there might be some appropriate ways to impose other consequences, especially for children who are a little older. They've achieved some level of emotional regulation, and you can expect them to behave in that situation differently. It's okay to impose penalties. Here's an example of one that I've used sometimes. It's called response cost.
Okay.
All right. Response cost works really well for a setting like the store or church or a doctor's visit where you need them to just kind of be in control here for a short period of time.
Okay. All right.
Get a little Ziploc bag, okay? Write the child's name on the bag so that they know it's theirs. Put about 10 things into that bag that the child likes. This might be stickers or gum or candy or tokens or coins. I don't care. As long as they like it, it's going to work. Those 10 things go in the bag. It's got their name on it. It's theirs.
Right.
You show it to them before you go to the store. These are yours. You'll get them as soon as we get into the car after we leave the store. Now, if there's any whining, demanding, temper tantrums,
Asking for things or whatever it is you're trying to
whatever you're working
decrease.
on. Yes. If there's any of that, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Remember, that's the first step. Be okay with it. I'm okay with it. It's going to cost you one of these every time it happens. You get everything that's left.
Yeah. And now remember, you're letting this response cost be the teacher.
Right.
You don't get to nag them. You don't say, no, don't you start whining. Just as soon as they do, you pull it and you want them to see you. Go ahead and open the bag. Take out one of them.
Smile.
Put it away, eat it, whatever, do whatever you need to. And you just go on. So you're going to just stay really calm about it. Okay.
Right.
And you let that consequence, or you let the response cost be the consequence, not your voice, not your nagging, not anything else.
This is not about mom's mood. It's not about I'm unhappy with you. You're smiling. Remember? Mom's smiling, kids are thinking. So you're smiling, you take it out and and it's yours now. So if it's candy, you eat it. If it's a coin, put it in your pocket. That's yours now. And then zip it back up and put it back in.
Can I add one more thing? So you get to the car and they now have 7 instead of 10, right? Just let them enjoy it. Don't say, you could have had more, but you just kind of pulled it off. Just be okay with how they did it and hand it to them. And there you go.
Let the consequence do the teaching.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We hope you found that helpful. We are so honored to be on your parenting team. This is fun, isn't it, Vicki?
Yeah.
There are other conscious parents just like you who want to participate in this kind of positive parenting. Would you please share this video with them? And if you haven't yet connected to the Parenting Power Up, come on over to parentingpowerup.com, where we have put together some amazing resources for you and other conscious parents. We'll see you there.
Face locked onto the phone.